And we're joined now by Tim Kaine, the former governor of Virginia and the chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Well, I would just say to you, Governor, you heard the Republican strategy from here on in apparently is to oppose, to try to repeal health care. Do you think, in fact, that that's possible?
I think it's unwise, and I don't think it will happen, Bob. You know, one of the things I was struck in listening to Senator Minton, Congresswoman Bachmann, is just the incredible anger that's there in them. And I don't think Americans are angry people. I think Americans are upbeat, optimistic, can-do people. Now, we're in a tough time, and they want to see government that is working to obtain results. But I don't think they want to see somebody who's calling the president anti-American, or a member of the Senate who says the main goal of health care should be to break the president. You know, this is about people and the problems they're experiencing. So they may want to push forward on a repeal of health care to tell small businesses you're not going to get tax credits to pay for insurance, to tell families you now can't keep children on your policy till you're 26, to tell folks that you're now subject to these abuses of the insurance industry. I think they'd be unwise to do it, and I think the American public will reject it.
Well, what about this whole idea of this sort of runaway rhetoric? As I said to Senator DeMint, there were some kind of scary pictures that we saw on television. And I know you asked the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Michael Steele, to join with you in signing a joint letter just really calling on people to be more civil in this debate.
Bob, I think we do need to be civil. Look, one of the great things about this country is we can disagree in significant ways about important matters, but we can do it in civil and appropriate ways. And so when I saw the anger level last week, I wrote a letter to Chairman Steele and just said, hey, let's do something good. Let's join together and issue a statement calling on Americans to be civil, but also on our elected officials to model the right behavior. And it was interesting what happened. The RNC considered my request for 4 or 5 hours. They then called the office back to say they wouldn't sign on to the statement, and 1 minute later they released a press statement just blasting the DNC that they sent around. We then did what we were not going to do, which we just disclosed my letter in the statement. And if you read the RNC's press statement and you read the very even-handed thing that I asked them to sign, you'll see that this kind of rhetoric is not only a little bit out of control, but apparently some think it's to their strategic advantage to keep people stoked.
Did you get any behind-the-scenes words from the Republicans about why they didn't want to do this? Or
what happened was they about 5 hours after we gave them the statement, and again the statement is completely even-handed. It doesn't point the fingers at any side. It just says we all ought to tone the rhetoric down. They called the office back and just said, you know, the chairman doesn't want to sign it because he thinks he's already spoken enough about this topic. But literally within a minute, the press statement was out just blasting the DNC, and they're arguing that we're trying to fan the flames. It's not the Democrats who are shouting down the president on the floor of Congress or calling names at members of Congress, you know, like baby killer or you lie. That's not what we're doing. This week you saw the Republicans say we're not going to cooperate with the president between now and the end of the year. The Dems are not saying we're not going to cooperate. We're going to keep reaching out on everything and hopefully find some common ground. But I think the other side has just adopted a strategy of complete obstruction. And, you know, even beyond health care, Bob, I think that's a loser strategy. Americans want results. That's what they want to see out of Washington. They want people to work together.
Let me just ask you about this, because you all put out a fundraising letter at the DNC. After all of this, it raised a few eyebrows because it talked about this these runaway things, these demonstrations, bricks through the windows and stuff, and then used it as part of a fundraising letter. Was that appropriate?
Well, Bob, I'll tell you why we did it. We did put out a fundraising letter referring to the bricks through the window and others, but also referring to the fact that our members who voted for health reform last Sunday are being hit by onslaughts of advertising in their districts, criticizing them, some with the most extreme language. One of my jobs as party chair is I want to be on TV thanking our members and praising them for doing an important thing for the American public. So I did. I sent out an email and I said, look, our folks are under attack who did a good thing, and I want to be able to put ads up on the air to protect them. And so, yes, we are out there vigorously promoting our members who did a very important thing for American families by enacting this reform, which will provide a path to coverage, will provide security for those with insurance, and as the CBO said, will bring health care costs down.
A lot of people are going to be watching what happens back in these congressional home districts over this Easter recess. They're talking about more demonstrations and so forth. Republicans have actually, your counterpart at the Republican National Committee, actually sent Republican members of Congress a letter of things to talk about and things to stress, the high cost of health insurance and so on and so forth. Are Democrats, did you give them talking points? What do you expect they'll be talking about?
Well, we definitely have, and at the DNC, we have a wonderful organization, Organizing for America, that is, grassroots volunteers in every community. They did more than 30,000 pro-healthcare reform events during this debate, and they're very active and engaged in each of these House districts. When a member will find it helpful, we're planning on doing a lot of events this week to thank members, to support them, and to put out the real facts. I was listening to Senator Mint. He says he wants to repeal a government takeover of the health industry. Well, really what he's trying to repeal is curbs on insurance companies. We don't want insurance companies to be able to kick people off their policies when they get sick or turn you down when you try to get a new job because of a pre-existing condition. I don't know why the Republicans want to put insurance companies back in the position where they have that kind of whip hand over the American public. We want the doctors and the patients to make the decisions.
Do you have concerns about the safety of Democrats out there? Because Senator DeMint said, look, this is just the old American way. People are protesting. Yes, there are going to be some bad apples here, but this is just kind of how we do it.
Well, Bob, I think he's being disingenuous to say that, because when you, as some of the members do, say this is Armageddon, the biblical war at the end of the world, the battlefield where it takes place, you're sending a message to folks. When you're saying that, you want to target members and you have a map of the United States and you put a gun sight on members' districts, when the elected leadership feels comfortable yelling out, you lie, or baby killer, they're stoking anger and they need to stop it.
All right. Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. Back in a moment with some final thoughts.